Case file number 1, Gravity Falls, the kiss that never happened. In the Gravity Falls episode, The Love God, there is a moment. Two characters, an elderly woman and a cupid, share an on-screen kiss, or at least they were supposed to. Disney cut it, removed, gone. The scene was fully animated, fully storyboarded, fully voiced. Someone drew each frame of two old people kissing, and then someone above them decided children couldn't handle it. What most people do not realize is that this wasn't about violence or language or anything controversial. It was a kiss between consenting adult cartoon characters, and Disney said no. Alex Hirsch, the show's creator, confirmed this was a network decision. He fought it, he lost. The kiss still exists somewhere in a Disney vault, fully completed, never to be seen. That's the record. Case file number 2, Gravity Falls, Bill Cipher's deleted scenes. Things get even crazier when you look at what else Gravity Falls lost. Bill Cipher, the demon triangle that haunts the dreams of every child who watched the show, was originally in more episodes than he appeared. Entire scenes were animated with his presence, then cut. In Dreamscaperers, Bill was originally shown in more dream sequences, scenes that made him look significantly darker. Production notes confirm his dialogue was rewritten multiple times because the original scripts were deemed too disturbing for the target audience. What most people do not realize is that Bill Cipher was almost a completely different character. The version we got was the sanitized one. Someone in a meeting room at Disney looked at the original Bill Cipher and said, "Tone it down." Someone sat in a meeting and made that determination professionally. Case file number 3, Gravity Falls, the sexuality change. And then there's the one that makes the least sense of all. Sheriff Blubbs and Deputy Durlin, two characters whose relationship was a running joke throughout the series, were originally written as canonically together. Couple, explicit, on the record. Disney forced the creators to change it. The final episode, Weirdmageddon 3 Take Back the Falls, shows them together in a way that implies a relationship, but the original version was unambiguous. Alex Hirsch has confirmed this publicly. The ambiguity was a compromise, not a creative choice. That's not a creative decision, that's a creator in a cage. Case file number 4, Adventure Time, the international cuts. Broadcasters around the world treated Adventure Time like it was dangerous, and cut hundreds of scenes during its original run. In the UK, Cartoon Network removed every reference to death, every instance of mild peril, and any dialogue that even hinted at existential dread, which, in a show about a post-apocalyptic wasteland where humanity is extinct, is most of it. In The Hall of Egress, Finn spends an entire episode trapped in an endless loop of psychological torture. The UK version cut 3 minutes from this episode alone. 3 minutes of a boy losing his mind in a cave, and the censors decided some of it was simply too much for children. I'm not gonna lie, they might have had a point on this one, but the record is the record. Case file number 5, Adventure Time, Marceline and Bubblegum. The relationship between Marceline and Princess Bubblegum was handled differently in nearly every international market. Some countries cut any scene suggesting romantic history. Others re-edited episodes to make them appear as rivals rather than ex-partners. In Russia, multiple episodes featuring Marceline were pulled entirely. Not edited, pulled. The entire character was deemed problematic. What most people do not realize is that these cuts were happening as late as 2017, long after the show had established itself as a cultural phenomenon. The censorship didn't stop when the show got popular, it got worse. Case file number 6, SpongeBob SquarePants, Sailor Mouth. This one's almost funny. Almost. SpongeBob and Patrick learn a bad word. It's bleeped out with dolphin sounds. The entire episode is about not using profanity. The moral is literally, don't swear. Banned. Multiple countries pulled this episode entirely. Not for the word, you never hear the word. For the concept. The idea that SpongeBob and Patrick would even know a bad word was bad enough for censors to say no. The episode has over 100 instances of the dolphin bleep. Someone counted, and then someone else counted differently. Either way, banned for a sound effect that replaces a word you never hear. Someone sat in a meeting and made that determination professionally. Case file number 7, SpongeBob SquarePants, Are You Happy Now? This one's darker. In Are You Happy Now?, Squidward becomes increasingly desperate to have a happy memory. He fails repeatedly. The episode contains a scene where Squidward climbs into a freezer and waits. The implication is clear. It's suicide. In a children's cartoon. The episode aired, but it's been pulled from rotation in multiple territories. The scene was deemed too explicit in its handling of depression and suicidal ideation for young audiences. What most people do not realize is that this episode was written and approved by the same network that later banned it. They made it, they aired it, then they decided they shouldn't have. Case file number 8. Dexter's Laboratory, Rude Removal. This is the holy grail of banned cartoons. Dexter creates a machine that removes rudeness. It splits him and Dee Dee into polite versions and rude versions. The rude versions are unhinged. Profanity, violence, complete chaos. The episode was completed in 1997. Fully animated, fully voiced, fully produced, and then locked in a vault for 15 years. It wasn't aired until 2013 when Adult Swim unearthed it for a one-time broadcast. The reason it was banned? The networks decided the rude characters were too aggressive. The profanity was too intense. The entire concept was unsuitable for Cartoon Network's audience. They made the episode, they paid for the episode, and then they buried it for a decade and a half. That's the record. Case file number 9, Dexter's Laboratory, Dial M for Monkey, Barbacore. Dexter's Laboratory had a recurring segment called Dial M for Monkey, Dexter's pet monkey who becomes a superhero. One episode featured a villain named the Silver Spooner, an overweight, flamboyant character who was, let's just say, a stereotype that wasn't subtle. The episode aired once. Then it was pulled. Genndy Tartakovsky, the show's creator, has said the character was a mistake, a lapse in judgment during the show's early production. It's one of the few banned episodes where the creator agrees with the ban. That almost never happens, and that might be the most damning detail of it all. Case file number 10, Pokémon, Electric Soldier Porygon. December 16th, 1997. Pokémon airs its 38th episode in Japan. The episode features Pikachu destroying missiles with Thunderbolt. The animation uses a technique called Paka Paka, rapid alternating red and blue flashes to simulate an explosion. Within hours, 685 children across Japan were hospitalized with seizures, convulsive vomiting, and vision loss. The episode has never aired again, anywhere, in any country. It was pulled from every international release. Porygon, the Pokemon the episode was named after, never appeared in the anime again, despite having nothing to do with the flashing effect, but you know they can't ban Pikachu. Ooh, that's the moneymaker. 685 children hospitalized by a cartoon. I'm not gonna lie, this one's different. This isn't a network executive being paranoid. This is documented medical harm. Some of the children had no history of epilepsy. The flashing triggered seizures in perfectly healthy kids. The episode exists. It's been preserved. You can find it online, but no broadcaster will ever touch that again. That's the record. Case file number 11, Pokémon, The Legend of Dratini. Before Pokémon hospitalized 685 children, another Pokémon episode was banned internationally. The Legend of Dratini takes place in the Savari Zone, and prominently features a character pointing a gun directly at Ash's face. Multiple times, close up. In Japan, this was unremarkable. The episode aired without controversy in 1997, but for international distribution, a gun pointed at a 10-year-old's head was deemed unacceptable. Can you believe it? Every English language release skipped it entirely. The episode was never dubbed, never translated, never aired outside Japan. 20 years later, it remains one of only a handful of Pokemon episodes that simply don't exist in English. Case file number 12, Pokémon Beauty and the Beach. Pokémon again. Beauty and the Beach features Misty entering a beauty contest. It also features James, a Team Rocket member, wearing inflatable breasts on screen in a children's cartoon. The episode was pulled from English language distribution for nearly 2 decades. It finally received a heavily edited dub in 2016, with James's fake breasts digitally removed and the dialogue rewritten around the cut footage. The original version was never broadcast in the United States. The edited version exists, but the damage was done. Another episode that simply disappeared from the canon. Case File 13, Cow and Chicken, Buffalo Gals. Cow and Chicken was always unhinged, but Buffalo Gals went too far for multiple international markets. The episode features a group of motorcycle riding women who break into people's homes and chew on the carpet. They're explicitly coded as lesbians, and the episode treats their sexuality as a joke, a punchline. Multiple countries banned the episode outright. The UK never aired it. Canada never aired it. Several European broadcasters pulled it from their schedules after a single broadcast. The episode was a product of its time. Late 90s edgy humor that aged into something closer to active hostility. What most people do not realize is that this episode still appears in some streaming packages, uncut and without context. It just shows up, like nothing ever happened. Case File number 14, Cow and Chicken, No Smoking. Another one from Cow and Chicken. No Smoking features the devil, literally the devil, as a recurring character who encourages smoking. The episode was designed as an anti-smoking PSA, but the depiction of the devil as a charming, persuasive figure backfired spectacularly. Multiple broadcasters pulled the episode, arguing that the anti-smoking message was completely undermined by how entertaining and charismatic the devil character was. The irony is that the episode was trying to do the right thing, it just failed, catastrophically. Case File number 15, The Simpsons, Stark Raving Dad. This one is recent, 2019. Not 1999, 2019. Stark Raving Dad, Season 3, Episode 1, featured Michael Jackson voicing a character who believes he's Michael Jackson. It was one of the most celebrated episodes in Simpsons history. It aired for nearly 30 years in syndication. Then, in 2019, the HBO documentary Leaving Neverland was released. Disney pulled the episode. Everywhere. Every streaming platform. Every syndication package. Every rerun. Gone. The decision came from the highest level. James L. Brooks, the show's executive producer, personally agreed with the removal. This wasn't a network mandate, it was a moral calculation. Regardless of how you feel about the decision, the precedent is staggering. An episode that had been in rotation for 3 decades, an episode that won awards, an episode people considered one of the show's best, removed overnight. That's the record, and it happened less than 7 years ago. Case File 16, Ren and Stimpy, Man's Best Friend. Ren and Stimpy was always testing boundaries, but Man's best friend broke them. The episode features Ren beating George Liquor, a new character, with an oar, repeatedly, with close-ups of the impact. George Liquor's head is shown with large bumps and bruises. Nickelodeon refused to air it. The episode was fully complete, fully animated, fully voice acted. Billy West performed every line. The production was finished in 1993, and Nickelodeon locked it away. It didn't see the light of day until 2003, 10 years later, when Spike TV aired it as part of a Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon revival. The creator, John Kricfalusi, was fired from his own show partly because of this episode. Nickelodeon decided the content was simply incompatible with their brand. Someone drew every frame of a man being beaten with an oar, and then someone else said no. That's it. Case File 17, Ren and Stimpy, Sven Hoke. This one's subtle. In Sven Hoke, Ren describes in graphic detail how he will murder Stimpy. He ties him to a chair. He pulls out implements. He explains exactly what each one will do. Calmly, methodically. The episode aired, sort of. Multiple scenes were cut for broadcast. The full uncut version contains extended descriptions of violence that even the show's famously permissive standards couldn't accommodate. What most people do not realize is that even the broadcast version contains content that would never be approved today. The line between Ren and Stimpy and what came after is the line between "we can get away with this" and "we can't anymore." Case File 18, The Amazing World of Gumball, The Saint. Gumball is a recent show. It ran until 2019. You'd think we'd passed the era of cartoon censorship by then, and you'd be wrong. The Saint features a character who claims to be a saint but is actually running a scam. The episode was pulled from multiple international markets for its perceived mockery of religious figures. In 2019, a cartoon about a blue cat was banned for religious satire. In 2019, the episode aired in the United States without incident, but in several countries in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, it was pulled after a single broadcast, or never aired at all. Case File 19. Teen Titans Go, Belly Math. Teen Titans Go has never been afraid of being weird, but Belly Math pushed it into territory that Cartoon Network's international partners couldn't handle. The episode involves the Titans literally entering Robin's stomach to solve a math problem. Multiple countries in the Middle East pulled the episode for what they described as digestive content unsuitable for children. The exact objection remains unclear. Something about the inside of a cartoon character's stomach crossed a line. The episode aired, and then it didn't. Case File 20, SpongeBob SquarePants, Midlife Crustacean. We end where we began, with SpongeBob. Midlife Crustacean features Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and Patrick going on a panty raid. The entire episode is about three characters breaking into women's homes to steal underwear, as a comedic premise for children. The episode aired for years, then in 2021, Nickelodeon quietly pulled it from rotation. No announcement, no press release, it simply disappeared from streaming and syndication. What most people do not realize is that this episode was written, animated, voice acted, approved, aired, re-aired, syndicated, and then, 20 years later, someone at Nickelodeon watched it again and said, maybe not. 20 years. Someone sat in a meeting and said, maybe not, after 20 years. Which case sealed it for you? Was it Pokémon hospitalizing 685 children? Or was it a SpongeBob panty raid surviving for 2 decades before anyone raised an eyebrow? Drop it in the comments. And if you want to see how dark these cartoons really get, hit subscribe.